Nearly home. Isn't home where we all want to be? Reba here for Realtor.com, the pros' #1 most trusted app. Finding a home is like dating. You're not just looking for a place to live, you're searching for the one. That's where Realtor.com comes in. Like any good matchmaker, they know exactly where to look. With over 500,000 new real listings straight from the pros every month, you could find your perfect match today. Ranch style with a pool, barn dominium with an in-law suite? Realtor.com's got 'em. Modern craftsman with a big yard and a treehouse out back? Realtor.com will have you saying, yep, that's the one. No more swiping. It's time to start finding. Download the Realtor.com app today, 'cause you're nearly home. Make it real with Realtor.com.
Pros #1 most trusted app based on August 2025 proprietary survey. Over 500,000 new listings every month based on average new for sale and rental listings. July 2024 to June 2025.
The Bleacher Report app is your destination for sports. Right now, the NBA is heating up, March Madness is here, and MLB is almost back. Every day there's a new headline, a new highlight, a new moment you've got to see for yourself. That's why I stay locked in with the Bleacher Report app. For me, it's about staying connected to my sports. I can follow the teams I care about, get real-time scores, breaking news, and highlights all in one place. Download the Bleacher Report app today so you never miss a moment.
Hi, I'm Juliette Cowley, a retired FBI profiler and host of the true crime podcast, The Consult, Real FBI Profilers. If you're fascinated with true crime and criminal profiling, then join us as we discuss real cases and examine the behavior exhibited before, during, and after the commission of the crime. You can listen to The Consult wherever you get your podcasts. It's as close as it gets to being in the room with the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit.
I'm Alice.
And I'm Brett.
And this is the Prosecutors Legal Briefs. Welcome back to the Prosecutors Legal Briefs. I'm your host, Alice, and I'm joined, as always, by my questionable co-host, Brett.
Hello, Alice. It's good to be here with you, and it's even better to be here with some of our patrons. We're going to answer some questions tonight. It's going to be fun. We're sort of styling this as a pre-CrimeCon Q and A. I'm thinking, number one, if you got questions about CrimeCon. Number two, if you found us because of CrimeCon, either because you're going or it's after CrimeCon, you're looking back, might be a good way to get introduced. So yeah, we're just going to answer questions. We got some people who are going to join us. We got the 5-star review questions that we have a ton of. So hopefully we'll be able to have a good time tonight.
It's going to be a great time. You guys don't judge the rest of the podcasts on this. Go listen to a real show. But we do.
All these people are going to be on with us. Don't judge us.
Don't judge us. Judge our wonderful listeners. But truly, the reason this podcast is so awesome is because of the community. And I think you're going to see this tonight. So enough about us. You guys should know that if you leave a 5-star review, you get to ask us a question about anything. Doesn't have to be true crime related. You'll hear some of those questions tonight. And you'll also hear some of the most, I hope, funniest, unrelated questions from our patrons tonight as well. And first on deck is one of our absolute favorites, Joe. How you doing, Joe?
I'm doing great, Alice. Great to see you, Brett.
Love the shirt, Joe.
Love the Slothacutors.
Yeah.
We also have the most talented fans. This is 100% true because I can't draw a single thing. We say something. And then some of our most creative patrons and listeners who are, I see in the queue now, will create the most beautiful pieces of artwork that now decorate my house.
So yes, this was done by Sophie. She's in the chat. She's amazing. I think she's designed all of your good shirts, and I think Brett's come up with the bad ones. So.
That's true. It's true.
So, I mean, with this date, isn't this like this? Aren't we around the 6-year podcast birthday? Because didn't you the first episode drop right as COVID started? So did the podcast.
Okay, you are so close. You're actually even a bigger fan than you realize, because no, it's not the exact 6th year, but this is almost the exact day of our first recording. That you guys don't know the date because it was not yet live, but it was
it might have literally been today.
It was March 12th because March 13th is when everything
shut down.
So I think today is the 6-year anniversary of when we picked up microphones and recorded
for the first time.
So
happy podcast anniversary, bro.
Yeah.
So the pandemic was the podcast's fault, is what
exactly
from all of this.
We did predate the podcast. Most people think we're a pandemic podcast, but we actually started before the pandemic began. I don't know that we would have survived without the pandemic, so you can count that as the one good thing to come out of COVID. But here we are.
So that leads into my question. With you guys doing this 6 years now, this is crazy because Alice, I know you've told the story before of you went to the first CrimeCon solo and nobody knew who you were. You just had lonely wanderers coming to the table, and now you guys won the Clue Award, even though Alice has never got to see it before.
Never seen it. I don't believe it exists.
So when was kind of the first instance where you guys think you've kind of made it in the podcast space, true crime space, where somebody came up to you and just saying, "Oh, I love your podcast," because whether it's Allison Sweeney and all these people who reach out to you, or I know you guys have talked about hearing in court about people liking your podcast. So when was just that moment where you have gone this has gone from a hobby to something now that we've kind of made it?
I still don't know that we've made it, so that's so nice of you to say that we've made it. I think I won't speak for Brett, but I still live in complete disbelief. So everything, every outreach by a fan, every time some kid dresses up as DB Cooper because of one of our episodes, or someone writes me a handwritten note and sends me a baby blanket they knit, or someone hears that my child really likes turtles and gets them a turtle stuffed animal. Anytime someone does something that is just so incredibly thoughtful, I am stunned all over again, because I truly think you guys know us better than anyone in my life. But it's the fact that you listen so closely and then you turn it into action to show acts of love and making sure that we know that we're appreciated. But the thing is, I never get used to it. I don't think I've made it now. I'm they remembered that my kid really loves squids. That's insane that they know that. So I will say that it's a daily reoccurrence whenever someone sends an email like that or says something to us at CrimeCon. It actually brings tears to my eyes.
Yeah, I'll answer it in 2 ways. One, both true. One similar to what Alice said, because everything about the podcast still amazes me. I still can't believe anything that happens when some random person walks up to us or recognizes us, or, you're at a convention, a legal thing, and people at the legal thing are listening to your podcast or whatever.
That happened to me today. Actually, I was talking to someone who's very high ranking who I've never met before, and they're like, "You're Alice," and they pulled up their phone and it was paused and it was legal briefs. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah, that's always crazy. I will say, I do think we're talking about CrimeCon. Orlando CrimeCon was kind of an inflection point, because there was Austin, which I didn't get to go to because my son was in the hospital. And then there was Vegas. And Vegas, I can't compare Vegas to Austin, but more people knew who we were at Vegas, but it still was we're kind of hanging out at our table. I took a nap in the middle of one of the days at CrimeCon and didn't really miss anything, because, a handful of people come by. But then the next year in Orlando was just insane. It was crazy. It was completely different. It was just completely different.
People
and I don't know.
Stopped us and knew our kids' podcast names, things like that.
It was wild. And people would tell us they came to CrimeCon just for us, and then we won the Clue Award and all that other stuff. And I don't know what it was that was the difference between. Now that was, I think, similar to this one. CrimeCon's on this weird schedule, right? Where it's it's in May and then it doesn't come around again until September.
Yes.
And then of like the next year, but then like this one, it feels like we were just all together. Like we were literally just in Denver, and now we're about to go to CrimeCon again because the September to May one is so fast, but the May to September one feels much longer. So I think it was a May to September one. Maybe it was because Vegas CrimeCon was the same week as the NFL draft. I remember that. It was kind of weird. And then it was a year and a half later, but that was a really sort of just crazy. And those of you who were at Orlando know it got crazy. It was wild. The whole thing was wild. And I think that was kind of an inflection point where the podcast kind of went to another level. But I mean, I'm with Alice. I still, to this day, I'm just like, one day we're going to release an episode and nobody's going to listen to it. And we're going to be like, okay, well, I guess we're done. That was fun. Sign off, for the last time. But I can't believe we've been doing it for 6 years. That's crazy.
Either.
That's impossible. It is impossible to believe we've been doing this for 6 years. We're now like I still feel like a new show, but we're now like an old show.
We're an old show. We're straight up an old show at this point.
And I think if you could survive the West Memphis 3 April Fool's episode, I think you're good. And everyone who hated that episode, that was my idea. I take full blame for that. So just full credit
for that one.
Brett, I just wanted to get your thoughts because we talk basketball sometimes, and I don't see how anyone else but Michigan or maybe Arizona wins it. I just want your kind of thoughts on that quickly.
I think Michigan, Arizona, and I guess Duke are kind of separate and apart, and then maybe UConn, maybe. But no, I think this is the most top-heavy year. Last year, we had all number 1 seeds make it to the finals, and that's unusual. I could absolutely see that happen again. Maybe 3 number 1 seeds, but it feels like the top teams are so much better. Florida might be another one. I think Florida's a step below. Alabama's played Arizona and Florida. Both of them beat us pretty bad. But Florida, we didn't play that well. We could have played better. We could have done better. Arizona was just so good. It was like men against boys, right? So I feel like you're right, I think. And then Michigan, we didn't play Michigan, but every time I've seen Michigan play, they just destroy whoever they play. So it just feels like very top heavy.
Yeah, and it almost feels anticlimactic.
Yeah, and I don't get that. And maybe NIL is going to have a different effect on basketball and football. In football, it seems like there are super teams, but there's also a lot of good teams that weren't good before. In basketball, it really just feels like there is a real concentration of power right at the top. So I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Well,
I added Sophie because it's request to have both of you on at the same time.
Sophie is, 2 years ago, I didn't even like Sophie, and now she's one of my best friends. So I will let her hold the stage.
No, I wanted you on here too.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I can talk basketball if that's what we're talking.
We shouldn't.
Well,
talk
you spend all of your time at basketball, so I
love basketball.
But how's kids basketball going?
They're done. But now we still have wrestling. So
wrestling.
Always something.
We're in soccer, except every soccer game's been canceled because of the weather. So we so far look at the ball.
I thought you could play soccer in any weather. No.
I think they just don't want to rip up the fields.
Yeah,
that's my guess.
I'm in the middle of a snowstorm right now.
Nice. Oh. This is why I wish I lived in Minnesota, where Sophie's from.
Big.
Here it's like 70 degrees. It's terrible.
Sophie, your hair is getting so long. That is.
Oh, I know. And I'm letting the sides grow out. So it's weird.
Look at you two girls talking about hair.
So for all the people who don't know,
I'm supposed to ask you guys.
Oh, Sai.
Hi, Sai.
What is your most rewarding experience since starting the podcast?
Oh, that's a good one.
Probably Lidditz. Lidditz is hugely rewarding. Getting to see those kids every year is amazing. Getting to meet your kids is pretty awesome too.
Yeah, Lidditz is definitely a highlight. I will say when this happens with almost every episode, and it's so interesting which episodes resonate with people when someone will write us, and it will oftentimes not even be the main point of a story we're talking about. It may be like a throwaway experience we had that's like one of those tangents that those 1-star reviews hate that we talk about. I'll say something like, well, when I didn't speak English growing up, and that little moment will make someone reach out to us and say, oftentimes, this is the first time I've ever reached out to a podcast, and then basically pour out some like really vulnerable thing about their life on the page to us, and not expecting anything back, but just trusting us enough with like a really important part of their lives, whether it's like having gone through something with true crime themselves, or just, wow, it's so great to feel heard in the world. We get those in the most unexpected circumstances. And then we get those in full force at CrimeCon. I will say that. People like wait to come up and tell us those stories in person. And I'm like, my emotions can't handle it. So this year, maybe I need to bring like an energy drink and Kleenex.
Well, it's like when we were in Orlando, and that was before they caught Richard Allen, and the family, the Delphi family, waited in line to come say hello to us. And I was like, you never have to wait in line. But they just wanted to tell us how much they appreciated our coverage of that. And that's just, I mean, that
so
is
humbling.
You cannot even describe what that's like. And anytime that happens, and it just reminds you how important these cases are, because they all have real people behind them. Right. And we always try to remember that. But when you see those real people, there's that moment where you're like, I hope we did this right.
Right.
And so.
Have you guys talked to anyone like in person who have been like, you didn't get it right, from like family?
Never in person. We had
I know there's plenty of people who say that elsewhere.
We've only had, that I can think of, one family member who's ever reached out and was upset. And they were upset about something that was true in our coverage that they didn't like that we talked about.
Oh.
And
which is, when we've talked about this with like family members being involved in investigations and not wanting to believe certain things about their loved ones. And we've said this about pictures, for example. If you have a loved one who goes missing, don't give like the beauty pageant picture, because that's probably not what they look like, right? Give them maybe not like straight out of bed with the bed hair sort of thing, but like what they look like every single day, not completely done up. Take that and then apply it to like characteristics about who they are.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, they're defending their loved ones, right? I mean, they're defending those people. They're trying to protect them. At the same time, they're seeking justice for them. It's an impossible situation to be in. I can't imagine what it's like. So we try and be as respectful as possible. But like I said, that's only happened one time. When we did Maura Murray, we talked to her sister, Julie, and she was very kind, very nice, even though she didn't agree with everything we said. But it's just, I mean, imagine being in a situation where your loved one is famous because of something terrible that happened to them. And then you're thrust into that, and you want all that coverage and you want all that attention, but you see the real dark side of that. So any other questions you've collected, Sophie?
No, I think that was the only one.
Good questions, guys. Thank you for being the brave first ones to show your face. But because of you, now people are getting in. And those of you who are just joining us, anyone can ask a question here. You can click on the chat, or you can write the question in the chat if you don't want to show your face, even though we love seeing your face. But Jill and Sophia.
I have one question for me that I'm just wondering if you guys have heard about this. Brett, I'm assuming you have. I was looking at like mysteries online, and there's one, it's called the Hollow Nickel Spy Case. Have you heard of that?
Is that what we talked about? That's where they hide things in the nickel.
We talked about one hollow nickel case. I don't know if it's the same one.
It's not a mystery. It was a spy tactic.
The one we talked about was the guy used a hollow nickel that was it had microfiche in it, and he accidentally bought a newspaper with it. Yeah, we talked about that.
One.
Was it in Isdale Woman? Or no, it
was in Illegal Briefs. It wasn't War Powers. It was, what was that guy? Why is he famous? Oh, it was the administrative warrants case, because he was arrested with administrative warrants.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. We talked about that case.
Okay. I was like, this sounds familiar, but I didn't remember like a specific episode that you guys.
I mean, honestly, just doing that whole guy's case would be worth. We just talked about it briefly, but kind of crazy.
Legally briefly. And it actually was brief, unlike most of our stuff. Okay. That was all.
All right. Well, thank you, Joe. Thank you, Sophie. You guys are awesome.
All right.
I'll back on later.
I'll see you guys in Vegas.
Bye, y'all.
Yeah. Stay awesome. Meg. Oh, wait. No.
Well,
Chastity.
Hello, Chastity. How are you? Can you hear us okay?
Oh, I have no. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Thanks for getting in the queue. Can you hear
I'm
us?
not sure that I know what I'm doing here. Can you hear
You're
me?
doing great.
Yes,
we can hear
yes.
you.
My question is, do your spouses have any interest in this at all?
Zero.
None.
I'm just kidding.
I'm really not kidding. She may be watching right now, but
No, both of our spouses
they're
are very supportive.
But that's
I will say this
interesting.
might be a good way to put it. They're our biggest supporters. They weigh in on all things podcasts. Like they help us get swag. They are watching right now and texting us things like, did you think about this? So they are so supportive. If it were not for this podcast, I'm not sure our spouses would regularly listen to true crime. So they do it out of love and support for us.
There is no circumstance in which my wife would listen to true crime if we were not doing this. That is a simple fact.
And my husband still doesn't really listen.
But they do listen to us. So,
They listen to us.
And they probably think we're crazy for doing this. And my wife has to listen to true crime stuff all the time. True crime episodes.
I can't
true crime
hear
books.
anything, so thank you.
Listen to the episode when it comes out, and you'll get the whole
everyone
thing.
else. It doesn't matter because it's on the thing. You are awesome. We're going to keep talking because that was a great question. Because I think this is actually a really good insight. Someone, the funny thing is when you do podcasts, people I think might conflate a little bit of the fandom with the creation. And so you guys know that a lot of crime and horror scares the crap out of me. And so I have people in my life who constantly text me true crime events. Like, did you see this murder mystery happening downtown or this? And I want to be like, I create it. I don't necessarily live it because I'm too scared. So,
I mean,
you do.
Of the four of us, I'm the big true crime fan.
You are.
I've always loved true crime, and I wrangled Alice into it, which I actually think it's funny because so many of these podcasts try and artificially create this whole one person's an expert, one person knows nothing, and they talk about it. And Alice usually, until we start researching a case, knows nothing about it. So she comes in completely unbiased when we start. I may have heard of the case and I may have some opinions, but Alice is always completely unbiased when we start because 99 times out of 100, unless it's like OJ, which we've never done before, maybe, I don't know. I assume you'd heard of John Bonet, right? Before we were there. You heard of John Bonet? Yeah.
I tell you in the episode if I've heard of it before. And the reason you hardly ever hear me say it is because for the most part, I haven't. Of course, John Bonet, yes, but not all the case stuff, right? I basically knew what the tabloid said. And beyond that, I didn't know much about these cases, which I think is the best way to go into it because that's how you prosecute cases or investigate cases. You are not supposed to come in with your preconceived notions, right?
And usually you wouldn't because you wouldn't have any idea. You wouldn't know anything about the case when you landed on your desk. And that is the best way to go about it because then you're seeing the evidence fresh, right? I mean, it's really hard to overcome a preconceived notion. John Bonet Ramsey is a good example. I've spent my whole life assuming it was her mother. That's what everybody thought. And growing up, that was the answer. And so you start looking at a case and you think we're going to end up saying it was the mother because we're going to look at the evidence and it's going to conform to what we believe. And I think that you can go really off the rails if you can't get past that. And we always try and get past that. I don't know that we always do. Obviously, we did in John Bonet because I don't think that's true anymore. And sometimes you have a preconceived notion, and when you get to the end, you still believe that, and you have to ask yourself, did I look at this, without some bias? But Alice doesn't have that problem because she doesn't know anything about any of these people, so it's perfect. I do want to answer Alex's question. Can you give us a CrimeCon for Dummies explanation?
Yes, that's a great question because obviously it's like quite the commitment to fly somewhere. This year it's in Vegas, get a hotel, buy a ticket and go there. So that's a great question. So I had no idea what CrimeCon was like before we went as podcasters. So it starts on a Friday and then it's Saturday and about, I think, half a day on Sunday, but there are activities on Thursday. You can buy a pass for the whole time, or you can buy one-day passes. So some people who have to work on Fridays, they'll just come in on Saturday. They will have like a main stage where there are big name speakers or like really interesting panels. I mean, we were on the main stage last year doing something on Leo Schofield. He was supposed to be there, but unfortunately got in a really terrible motorcycle accident and couldn't be there. But you'll learn all sorts of things about forensics from the people who were in it, prosecutors, investigators, people who are victims, people who committed the crimes. I will say the main stage programming is really fascinating. So if you did nothing, but there's different ways to do CrimeCon. You could just sit in the room and watch everything they have going on, and you would get so much out of CrimeCon. Now, outside of that, there's also like 10 other things you could be doing. There's Podcast Row, where we are, and all the podcasters have booths, and it's almost like a job fair, except it's podcasts. So you can meet, podcasters. You can learn about new podcasters. People usually have swag, and people are doing demonstrations of how you do, certain they have canine dogs and whatever new fandangled forensic technology, they'll have it on demonstration. And then there will be like live podcasting recordings. And there's so much to this, but it is like a carnival of true crime. Brett,
and it can be overwhelming. It can be overwhelming because there's so much going on. I will say this. If you love Vegas, go out there for Vegas. You can meet a ton of people at CrimeCon without going to CrimeCon. Like, if the only thing you care about doing is talking to us, then just go to Vegas and
we'll
meet us at the bar.
For free.
Yeah.
Really.
Remind
we
me
always have a meetup that is for anyone to come. And a lot of people, especially if they're kind of local, they won't spend the money, to come because it is expensive, and they'll just come hang out at the bar that we're at, and anyone can come.
And I will say this, I do think planning can matter because it depends on what you want. If you want to meet people, you can go to Podcast Row. If you're not really a people person, but you want to learn how forensic genealogy works, there'll be a presentation on that. If you want to hear from victims, there'll be victims who are speaking. If you want to hear from law enforcement, there will be panels with law enforcement. If you just want to see Vinny Politon record a live episode, he'll be doing that. Like, there's all sorts of different things depending on what you care about and what you want to do that you can focus on, or you can just go there and just go with the flow. And whatever.
I'll put one more thing out there. It is one of the most welcoming communities. A lot of people go to CrimeCon by themselves, and there will be meetups. People will try to connect with other people because I know it can be scary to walk into these like massive social situations by yourself, but you will not be the only one. In fact, many people go as a single person and they end up making friends there. A lot of the people you hear on this, like asking questions now, all met for the first time at CrimeCon. This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You choose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Progressive loves to help people make smart choices. That's why they offer a tool called AutoQuote Explorer that allows you to compare your Progressive car insurance quote with rates from other companies. So you save time on the research and can enjoy savings when you choose the best rate for you. Give it a try after this episode at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Carvana's so easy, just a click and we've got ourselves a car. See?
So many cars. That's a click-tastic inventory.
And check out the financing options. Payments to fit our budget. I mean, that's
Clickonomics 101.
Delivery to our door.
Just a hop, skip, and a click away.
And bought.
No better feeling than when everything just clicks. Buy your car today on Carvana. Delivery fees may apply.
And we have Meg here, too.
Hi,
Meg.
Hi. I have not been
you?
to CrimeCon.
First time for everything.
Not going to make it to Vegas. I'm waiting for them to come back to the Southeast because I'm in Louisiana. So I'm like, I missed New Orleans, Austin, Houston, Nashville. Like, I could drive to any of those. And I don't really like flying. So hopefully in the next couple of years, they come back this way. And then we'll plan to be there. But
awesome.
I have a feeling they will.
I just came from New Orleans today.
Oh, it's hot and damp.
It is hot and damp.
The northwest corner of Louisiana. So I'm as far away from New Orleans. You probably live closer to New Orleans than I do. Almost,
I probably do.
Yeah. But my husband loves it down there. Okay, quick question for Alice. Did Brett ever bring you your Christmas present? Because you moved like right before I mailed it. And
which one was the Christmas present? We'll find out.
The cross stitch.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't?
So. Yes, I did.
Meg, I am so glad that you asked this because I didn't get it.
I'm pretty sure you did.
months ago, you brought up needing art for your closet.
Yes.
Right.
And you said you wanted a cheese-themed cross stitch. So I made you a cheese-themed.
I would 100% know if you brought me a cross stitch of cheese because
I didn't keep the cross stitch
I would
of
be right
cheese.
there.
I didn't keep the cheese cross stitch.
You get that cheese for me. That's all I want now.
No offense to cross stitch and cheese, but I wouldn't have kept that. That would have been one of the many things I brought.
Meg, you did that for
Brett
me
too. That wasn't. It was bourbon themed, not cheese. So there was one for each of you.
We need to go look at our PO box again. Oh no, I don't want this to have gotten lost.
I don't remember.
Meg, this is all I want. Thank you so much. See, right now, this is one of those experiences where I'm getting teary-eyed, but I have to hold it together because we're supposed to be recording because that's like the most thoughtful thing.
Now, hold on. Did you send it to the P.O. box? Is that where it went?
Yes, and I messaged, well, I thought it was you that I was messaging on Facebook, Brett. And
I went and got it.
And you went and got it. And you said you had it. Yeah.
I definitely.
It's probably in his trunk. I've seen his trunk. I've seen his trunk. I bet you it's in there. He's going to go look for it and he's going to find it.
It wasn't that big. I mean, it was just like a little padded envelope. So it could have gotten lost. And I think they were wrapped in like tissue paper or something too, because there were cards. Because I sent it before Christmas. So I did it as like a Christmas gift.
It took forever to get there. And I kept checking and it wasn't there. And then one day in like January, I checked and it was there.
And it was there.
I totally remember this. And I totally would have taken it to you, Alice. I bring you stuff all the time that people give us.
Actually does. He was at my house this weekend
with
and he brought so many gifts.
Ton of stuff.
Like his whole trunk, which is why I think it's in the trunk. Go check the trunk after this.
I'll check the trunk.
I mean, worst case scenario, I can make it again. But
I'm not asking you to necessarily do that. But if you were to do that, it would be right there forever and ever and ever. And for my formal legal hearings, I'm going to have a cheese cross stitch in the back. And the judge is just going to have to deal with it.
I think that'll be good. Okay, can I ask another on the spot question?
Of course. Fire away.
When are you going to cover Tom Brown? Because I never
that one's been on our list for a long time. We do need to do that.
We are not
It's a Texas case for Alice.
Yes, thank you.
There's a crazy PI who you'll probably get letters from, so it'll be real entertaining. It'll be great engagement for Brett because he loves negative engagement.
Yeah, I've heard about him.
It's a mystery. Like, I think I know what my theory is, but every theory, there's like one piece that doesn't quite fit. And it's
one of those cases.
Yeah, it's fascinating. The other thing,
we'll do it sometime in the next year. I'll commit to that.
Okay. I will remake Alice's cross stitch if
Well, don't do it yet. Let me check the trunk because I definitely remember getting it. So I'm like looking over here at like a pile of stuff, just wondering if it's in there, but I don't think it is. I think that's all like lit stuff.
I wish I could remember if I had wrapped it in tissue paper or wrapping paper.
Thank you for doing that.
But it's in there. It's somewhere.
I'm not even kidding. It will be right here forever and
okay,
ever.
legal question.
Fire away.
Because I was going to Google this and it's like one of those things. Do you ever like think about something random and you're like, I'm going to look that up later. And then a week goes by and then you think about it again and you're like not on your phone to look it up. So I got in a conversation with my husband. They're like, what's the difference between robbery, larceny, burglary, theft? Like they all sound like the same thing, but they're not. So
technicalities, really.
Okay. Robbery is when you take something from someone's person by force. That's robbery. Okay. Robbery is one of the worst that you can do because it's by force.
So think of someone grabbing your purse and taking it and running. Robbery.
Right. So larceny is usually just when you steal something.
Like a car, but you may not be in the car. So like that's grand larceny typically because it's a big thing that you're stealing, but you're inside the shop and you left your keys in the car and they drive off with you.
And under common law, correct me if I'm wrong, Alice, but you have to intend to keep it.
Yes.
So theoretically, if you take someone's vehicle, but then bring it back,
it's all good.
Larceny.
Yeah.
It's just simple theft.
Wait, you can really just say like, oops, I borrowed it. And
this is the common law.
Common
law.
Okay.
So we didn't.
Or let's say,
statutes.
So same with the purse thing. You put your purse down, turn around, and they don't take it from your purse and you walk away. They take it.
Burglary under common law was the theft of property from a building. Well, that's true. It was just entering a building at night to commit a crime.
For the purpose of, there's all these like steps you have to have.
Yeah. So you could murder someone and be guilty of burglary because you entered their home to kill them. Usually it's to steal things, obviously. And it no longer has to be at night and it no longer has to be a business. Like now it's, a you can burglarize a store, for instance, or a shed or a boat or anything. So they're just all different
you had
shades
another
of
one.
theft.
Did you have another one?
Well, she said theft.
Well, I said
theft,
but I wasn't sure if that was like a separate thing or if that's just, I guess that's the umbrella.
And here's the thing about all of those. There are federal corollaries, but each state that has a law for it can define them slightly differently as well. So that's generally like the elements of what that crime is. But theft, especially if you're talking about degrees of theft, can be defined differently in every state.
It's like assault and battery.
Your state.
So battery is
same thing. I get confused with those.
An unwanted touching is battery. So is as simple as like tapping you could be battery, or punching you in the face. Assault does not require any physical contact. So like if I like swing at you to scare you, that's assault. But these are all the common law definitions and they've all been changed. But when you take like the bar exam,
that matters.
These are the kind of things you have to be able to answer questions about. So
interesting.
So I don't know how helpful that was, but those are some examples.
No, I mean, but I'm sure, I don't know if Google would have been right or wrong, because now every time you Google something, you get like an AI answer and you got to like figure out if that's legit or not. So
the reality is there are 1,000 different answers to this. So a lot of times you're right. AI will get it wrong because AI will grab onto, what the majority rule is or what the common law rule is. And that doesn't mean that's the case like in your state or in your jurisdiction. So that's why we need lawyers. AI can't replace us. There you go. Well, Meg, I will look for your cheese and bourbon. I think it's possible that Alice just wasn't as impressed as I was with your artistic work. And so when I gave it to her,
not true.
She just forgot about it or threw it away or something.
You knew.
I'm pretty sure Brett would have noticed the bourbon one too. So.
Well, the thing is, I know I got them because I remember the difficulty in getting the package, that it took like forever to even get the package. So I got to check. I'll find it. By the time we have another live, we'll figure it out.
It's all good.
All right. Well, we appreciate you. We'll see you soon.
Hopefully,
see you at the next
I'll meet you
CrimeCon in the
someday in
South.
CrimeCon. Yeah,
we would love that. We would love that. Thank you for your questions.
Bye. Asher.
Hi, Asher.
Have you sent us any cheese-themed items?
Can I just say that was the greatest smile.
Maybe I could send you some like authentic cheese curds or something.
Oh, don't play with my heart.
Yeah, we've got the good stuff here.
Yeah, the best.
So I am a 10th grade student, and in my history class, we are currently doing a mock trial where I am a defense attorney.
Okay.
And I just wanted to get some advice specifically on like objecting and what I should know about objecting and like appropriate times I can object, that kind of thing.
Great question. And you are so advanced to already be doing this now. Being a defense attorney is really fun. And there are strategic things to object to. So obviously, I know you probably know the rules when they are on technicalities. So for the most part, you don't want to object just to object. But when you're the defense counsel, you kind of can. Almost every way that an attorney asks a question is objectionable in some way. That is the truth. I'm not suggesting that you just stand up and keep objecting, because that's a great way to just get everybody angry at you. But be strategic. Kind of hear where they're going. And if you see, for example, the best thing to object for your witness or someone up there is if a line of questioning is confusing. You really want to object because you don't want them to start answering things or just agreeing to things. You and I probably in normal conversation, even if we don't 100% understand what someone's saying to us, we tend to agree because humans want to agree. That's the last thing you want a witness to do. So if you're listening to questions and you hear that they're asking compound questions, so multiple questions in one question, or they're asking things with pronouns and, subjects that are not clear, object and say, please clarify the question, or confusing or anything like that. That's like the most important in making sure you have a clear record.
And you'll be able to do that because it's hard to ask questions correctly. It really is. I mean, Alice is right. Every question feels leading. That's what I always feel like. You just want to be like, and what happened next? Because that's the only way you can ask a not leading question. But yeah, I think, like Alice said, if it's a confusing question, and also just look for questions where they're getting in evidence they can't get in. Here's a good example of that, but it happens a lot. Just, referencing stuff that's in the record, but that nobody's testified about or something like that. Or maybe something, I don't know how detailed your class is or the mock trial is, but, just there are probably going to be times when the person tries to ask a question to get something in before the jury that they really can't. So think about if you hear someone say something on the lines, and then what did he say? Or something like that, that's a sign, okay, we're looking at hearsay because I'm asking the person on the stand to say what someone else said. And maybe there's an exception, but put it on the guy who asked the question to know what the exception is, right? So look for that. Like Al said, compound questions without a clear subject or object, and questions asking what someone else said are always good places to look.
Yeah. And then just the one other question I had is, so I'm cross-examining an expert witness for the case.
Awesome.
And there's one question I have like pre-written for it that I was really worried about, like it being considered too leading. So the witness is a ballistics expert, and they basically were saying that this case takes place in the 1920s. So the technology of the ballistics obviously isn't very advanced. But they were basically saying the type of bullet matches the bullet that could be fired from the defendant's gun. So the question I wanted to ask them was, could the bullet have been fired from a gun the same make and model as the defendant's? But I was worried that would be too leading.
That's a perfect question.
Crossing. Yeah, that's a great
perfect question. So you can lead on cross.
Yeah.
But also that is the perfect question because you're exactly right. They're getting up there and there's one side of it, right? It could. And you're just trying to create reasonable doubt. Could it? But what you might want to do to make it really effective is break that up into like 5 or 6 different questions. Is it possible that this same one could come from this? Break it down into even smaller things so that you basically get the expert to say yes, not one time, but like 10 times to different iterations. Because then what the jury's hearing is like, well, gosh darn, it could be anything. She asked 10 different examples and he said yes to 10 of them. This is, who knows where this bullet came from? That's a tactic of exactly what you're doing, but breaking it down even further. All to say is you already are on the right path.
You can always end it with, if it's going well, so you can't say for certain this bullet came from my client's gun. And he has to say, I can't say that for certain, because that's the whole point, right?
Yeah, well, in the affidavit, the guy literally says, well, I'm not 100% certain, and I'm not 100% certain that this other defendant had this gun, because there's 2 defendants in the case. Because it's based
and you
on
should
a real
question
case.
him on the affidavit, too.
Yeah.
Didn't you say in an affidavit X, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's based on a real case from the 1920s, which I do think is kind of cool.
Very cool.
That is cool.
I've been doing my best to avoid researching the actual case too much.
Good. That's awesome.
Yeah, because we were told to like just go purely based on their affidavit, and so that's what I've been trying to do. And also, I don't want to look at the actual outcome of the case because I have a feeling if I find out like they actually got sentenced, then I'd get too anxious.
Well, yeah, and if you win the case, then you look at the outcome and they were convicted, you'll be like, look at me, I'm better than their lawyer. So
That's right.
It's on Monday, so
good luck.
You'll have to let us shoot us an email
and let us know how you did.
And let us know how it goes. You're going to do
I will
awesome.
make sure I do that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Good luck.
Thank you so much. It was nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Looking forward to having some of those cheat cards later.
I know. We might have some time for some 5-star review questions.
Yeah. Okay. I've put the link down there if anyone wants to get on asking questions, but otherwise I can ask some 5-star review questions, which we have a ton of. As I think Alice said earlier, if you leave a 5-star review and then you also ask a question, we will answer it for you. Okay, this is interesting. This is a variant on Alice's most controversial answer ever. When we found out that she's a speed freak at heart. So I Heart True Crime wants to know, what is one law you could change because of the unintended consequences? Is there a law you would change, not because you want to speed, because you want to go crazy, but solely because of the unintended consequences?
I mean, I think most of the really bad ones were ultimately repealed. I mean, one example is like they banned prohibition, they banned alcohol. And they're like, you know what? The effects of us not allowing alcohol legally is we don't get taxes on these things. So let's peel that back.
So I have one. It's not a law, it's a regulation. So I went to the John Mulaney.
Yes. How was that show?
It was great. And what was hilarious about it my wife and I talk about, it's always great when you go to see a comedy show and the comedian like hits on something that you also think. And his last sort of bit was all about his dryer. So his dryer stopped working. So he bought a new dryer, and he bought the exact same dryer that we have. And his complaint was the exact same complaint we have, which is if you want your clothes to be slightly wet at all times, perfect dryer, right? Great dryer to get your really wet clothes just wet. And if you do have wet clothes, to get them somewhat wet. And the reason for that is we have these energy saving regulations, which are all intended to save energy, reduce our consumption of various resources, whatever good purposes out there. But here's the problem. No one has ever used an energy saving dryer and only dried their clothes once, because you end up having to dry everything at least twice, or you have to do multiple loads because you can't dry as big a load because it's not going to get that big load. So there's no way it actually conserves any energy. It only conserves energy based on the things that normal people don't do, right? So it's a complete waste. It's not only a waste of time, it makes your dryer worse. It doesn't save energy. And in fact, it may use more energy. So I'm going to say the energy saving appliance. And same thing with like,
I was going to say light bulbs and light bulbs. Light bulbs. Okay. So
we have never been more lied to than we were about light bulbs.
Light bulbs. These LED light bulbs do not last for 10 years. In fact, I'm changing them every 6 months because they are not more energy efficient because they die quicker. So we moved in. Our old house was like 30 years old. And so it had like 30-year-old everything. I didn't have to change a single light bulb because they were all the old light bulbs, probably from the 90s, the entire time I lived there for 5 years. I moved into this house and the people did a great job. They renovated it beautifully. But when they renovated it, they replaced all the light bulbs, the luminescent ones or whatever, with energy saving light bulbs that I've had to change many, 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 many times. Not to mention, they are so stark.
They're stark. They're incredibly expensive. They're so much more expensive.
And they're actually worse for the environment to make and dispose of.
Exactly. And the deal was supposed to be, it's okay that they're more expensive because they'll last forever. You'll change your light bulb one time. And then 15 years later, I'll change it. Incandescent, you change them all the time. It's terrible, right? Oh, God. It is such a ripoff. And some of them, it's not just that they stop working altogether. They dim.
And they flash.
Slowly.
And then they
flash at you.
And the worst thing about the flashing is it happens in all, and these are not because the actual sockets are old. Remember, all of the sockets in my house, I didn't do it, but the people who we bought the house from replaced all the sockets because it's all these new beautiful light fixtures. They start buzzing and they start flashing strobe. And you know who doesn't go to sleep when they have a strobe light in their room? My kids.
Yes.
My kids. So you know what I've had to do? This is no joke. I have a pile. I'm pointing this way. You can't see it. I have a pile of light bulbs over there of light bulbs I've unscrewed from my kids' rooms so that they'll go to sleep.
And see, Sophie says just buy the cheap ones again. And that's what you would do in a free
illegal
country,
now. But
Sophie.
they're illegal now. They're not
George
made
W.
anymore.
Bush made them illegal. If you want to blame Bush for something, blame him for the light bulbs.
It's been so. Oh, that's right, because it was like going to go into effect in 15 years, and now we've hit it. You can't buy them. It's illegal to buy them actually now. So
disgusting.
If you have incandescent lights, hoard them, sell them on eBay because I'll buy them.
Yeah.
Or send some to me at CrimeCon. And you'll be my best friend.
Seriously, stop bringing me. I don't want Pappy anymore. Just bring me a case of incandescent lights. I'll take that.
Yes, I forgot the light bulb regulations, which was meant. That's the unintended.
They didn't know. Good intended.
They are, of course, they are good intended, but in reality, and if you look at a lot of them, I've had several light bulbs where I can't dispose of them in the trash because they're toxic.
I throw them away in the trash. I'm sorry.
But that's what you're saying. That's what I'm saying.
No.
But that's what I'm saying.
Disposal.
It's worse for the environment. So, like, that's crazy because you know what most people are doing? Throwing it in the trash. And so our environment is getting even more tight because of all this. So I would repeal that.
Incandescent light bulbs were copper wire and glass, and nobody cared if those things got thrown away. Anyways. Okay, we got some questions. Alice, someone has a deep meaningful question.
This is a very deep, meaningful question. It's very good. So, Rockstop, I've wanted to ask Alice for a long time. As a woman who clearly prioritizes motherhood and her family above all, while also excelling in her career, how do you juggle it all? And what does that balance look like, especially in the early years? What steps can you take? She's a software engineer, extremely career focused and engaged. I want to do it all, kids, family, and job. Such a good question. What I get from that question, first of all, is I'm incredibly touched that it comes off that I care about my kids and my family above all.
Doesn't care about them at all.
Because all they do is throw up and complain about strobe lights. I'm just kidding. I love them. I obviously love them so much. This is a really hard question. And I would happily sit down with anyone at CrimeCon who wants to have this conversation, because there is so much that's fed to us parents, women, men, all of it. But women, I mean, we just have it differently a lot of times, right? Like when I walk into a courtroom, I am usually the only woman there. That's just the truth. When my kid threw up today, even though I was the one out of town for work, the school called me, right? And I was the one kind of juggling things. Dad ultimately went and got her because he was in the same zip code. And in the middle of the night, when Squanto wakes up with a nightmare from the strobe lights, he comes to my side of the bed and wakes me up, right? There's just certain things, and it's different in every family, but that's just my reality. I'm so glad. I am so thankful I have a job as demanding as it is that still allows me to be the kind of parent that I am. Because I will tell you, at this point in my career, I worked really hard. Before I had kids, for those 10 years, I worked my butt off. I worked late nights. I tried to do everything I could, partly because I knew that I wanted to be a mother and I wanted to be a present mother. And so I was trying to give it my all when I could, recognizing there would be a time in my career where that trade-off was not going to be worth it for me. And so there's a lot of planning that comes, right? To be the mom I am today, I started planning honestly before I had kids, before I got married even. I just knew what I wanted. And I recognized that it was impossible to have it all at the same time. And that's okay. So I am not pulling all-nighters writing briefs right now the way I did 10 years ago, because I can't, because my kids need me in the middle of the night, early morning, all the things. And I recognize that there will be another time in my life when I can exercise more. Right now, it's just not the time. But to hold all these things loosely and know, I've used this analogy before. I didn't come up with it, but it was so helpful for me to visualize that you're always going to be juggling so many balls in the air. There's going to be glass balls and there's going to be plastic balls. And you need to know which are the glass balls, and you can't let those drop. Balls will be dropped, but you need to understand that there are ones that if they're dropped, it's okay. Totally forgot to send my kid in with treats for their class for some goodie bag. Whoops, I apologized. Like, what more could I do? But I didn't sit there and cry about it. I would have, as a younger self. And now the bar is just really high in terms of knowing my self-worth. My self-worth doesn't come from gold stars. It doesn't come from 5-star reviews. That's why, this is a great stage in my life to be doing the type of work I am, both podcasting and litigating, because it's almost like a superpower. I know my kids and my family are the most important. And so it feels like I'm untouchable in court. When people yell at me, I'm like, yell at me, bro. Like, I do a good job, but I don't let people get under my skin. So that's a very winding way to say it's really hard. You have to take a long view and recognize that at one point in time, you're not going to have it all. And the other thing is you have to ask for help. I have a lot of help all the time. I cannot do this alone. I need more help. However much help I have, I need more help. So right now, I spend all my disposable income on help, right? Like people to help me with drop-off pickups, people to help me take kids to birthday parties and piano lessons and nannies and everything, which allow me to then be very, very present. And it costs a lot of money. It means I don't go on vacation, and it means I don't buy myself clothes or jewelry, but that's kind of what my life demands right now. So, and it looks different for everyone as well. And I just want to say, if you're even asking that question, you're such a good parent. You really are, because you're trying to make it work. And you're not the only one. There's a lot of us who are trying to do good by our families and also the careers that we've been called to as well. So it's helpful to know you're not alone.
I think it's also good to know that everybody messes up and falls down and nobody's life's perfect. Alice, she does a great job of faking it making y'all all think she's so perfect.
False. False.
But nobody is, right? I mean, and you're going to slip up and you're going to make mistakes and you're going to have days where you feel like, man, I wasn't a good parent today. I mean, that happens, you know? You're going to have regrets and everything else. And I think it's just important not to beat yourself up about it. That old saying that comparison is a thief of joy is true in so many places. And it's not just, man, I wish I had a house like that person. It's also, I see this person's life on Facebook or Instagram or on this podcast or my kids' best friends' parents. I mean, they seem like they have it all together, right? And they don't. And there are things going on in their lives behind closed doors that are difficulties for them. And like Alice said, you got to know what's important to you. And you got to have people that love you and that support you and that can help you and can pick you up when you fall down and everything else. And I think if you have that, you can make it through. And they're going to be, you want to have it all? There will be sacrifices. Alice said, balls will be dropped. I mean, it's going to happen. I mean, you just have to decide what is the most important thing to you and roll with that. And I think if you do, that's when you're going to find happiness and contentment in life.
And this totally applies to men and women, dads and moms. I'll give like a really quick practical thing that I started doing a couple years ago. Again, someone told me to do it. That's been really helpful and life-changing. You know that thing where they say psychologically you are happier even if you're not, and you can like fool your body into being happy by like smiling until you feel it, like kind of the fake it till you make it. This is along those lines. So it's really easy, especially as a working parent, to get in the doldrums about anything. What? Why are you throwing this deadline on my desk now? It's Friday. Oh my gosh. My kid threw up again and I have to go pick him up. But like, this was the day I was going to get work done. Oh my goodness. My kid has another dress like Dr. Seuss day tomorrow. I have to run to Target at 9 p.m. and come up with a costume. So those can very easily pile up and feel like overbearing weights that are not fun. So I challenge you to have fun in this phase of life. Have fun in every phase of life, but I will gander to say, it might be a little more easy to have fun when your kids, when you either don't have kids yet, or you're not trying to balance all the things at one time. It can get very overwhelming. So instead of saying, why is this happening? A couple years ago, I started forcing myself to say, and I would say it out loud like a crazy person, wow, I'm so glad I get to fold laundry right now. And after a while, I really did start appreciating it. And I did not. And oftentimes you'll see, I like my husband will hear me say, I'll be like, so glad I get to pack lunch right now, which I'm going to go do after we've recorded. So glad I get to wash these dishes tonight. But when I started saying that, I was like, yeah, I am so glad I have lunch boxes to pack tonight, because that means I have kids who are eating healthy foods that I'm able to prepare for them. How lucky am I? Wow, I get to wash dishes because we were able to sit around the dinner table tonight together as a family, and we had some hilarious laughter. And that was because we got to eat together as a family. So many families don't get to do that. I never ate dinner with my family growing up. That just wasn't something we did. Wow, I am so glad my kid is waking me up in the middle of the night instead of staying in their bed freaked out at 3 a.m. by themselves. I get to make them feel better by holding their hand right now. And in the moment, it's hard. But reframing it like that, I try to trick myself. And you know what? I'll report back. After 2 years of doing that, it has become second nature to be like, I really do get to fold these adorable little socks. These socks are going to be too small next year because they're going to be bigger next year. Today, I get these tiny baby socks. Next year, I'm going to get a bigger kid, and this little baby sock I will wish for. So one little practical thing that I started doing a couple years, hopefully will help you see all the things you're juggling be blessings instead of burdens.
Well, I think that's a great place to end on, Alice, because it's so true.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us today on this fun Q&A. We do this completely unscheduled, also completely randomly. So if you like them, we'll do more of them. If you don't like them, great. We never have to do them again. But we are hoping that we get to have real conversations with you in person at CrimeCon in Vegas very soon.
Code Prosecutors.
Code Prosecutors to get some percent off your, I don't know what percent off.
10%.
10% off your ticket. We love all of you. If you're finding us for the first time, we hope you check us out. We have the Prosecutors podcast as well as Legal Briefs. And we're here and we can't wait to meet you and have you join the family. Anything else, Brett?
No, just love you guys. It's a pleasure to do this. It's like Alice said, kind of like it's like y'all throw up on us sometimes, but we still love you. So it's great to get to talk to y'all.
Well, guys, until next time, I'm Alice.
And I'm Brett.
And this is the Prosecutors Legal Briefs.
Joe can't entertain us for the whole time.
And also, I could tell you guys how I just got back from out of town. 3 for 3, y'all. I've left home 3 times in 3 weeks, and all 3 times within 24 hours, a kid has thrown up.
I'm not convinced it's like psychosomatic, that there's some like,
we got
it's
sent
not a
home
disease.
from school today. Goodness.
Psychological.
TV has thousands of free movies and TV shows.
You swear?
If I'm lying, I'm dying.
This is the mindset. Free. This is the mantra.
Free.
This is the mindset. With movies like Titanic, Dreamgirls, and Gladiator.
Are you not entertained?
And TV shows like Survivor, SpongeBob SquarePants, The Fairly Odd Parents, and Ghosts. Pluto TV is always free.
Huzzah!
Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.